All right, we're back again for the third and final phase of this interview, although I tell you what, I think I could go probably 6 or 7 more. It's so much fun to talk not only football, but to talk with my brothers, about it. I've said I coached for 32 years, coached football, I coached basketball, boys, basketball, girls, and baseball. And I had fun in all of them, but I will say that the 11 years that I coached football was some of the most fun times that I've had in my 64 years of life. There's no doubt about it. And it would have been fun for Steve to be able to go with Freddie a little bit more. Those were always entertaining times. There's no doubt about that. Not only hard work, but when you work hard, you can still have fun. And in fact,
Fred was always busy working on the guys in the weight room.
Yeah. Well, I think he had to get off work a couple of days early to go.
He wanted to tape.
Go tape kids.
He didn't know where the tape was, or know what an angle was.
I don't even think he knew where the room was.
Yeah.
And if he had ever taped a kid, they'd have never been hurt again. Yeah. I guarantee you, they would have been in trouble. All right, this is going to be a little bit of a fun phase. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Dale and Steve, or give them a word, and I want them just to give me the first thing that enters their mind on the thing. We'll start with Dale. Dale, most influential coach?
Gary Ridgely.
Well, let's go with coach that you've ever had.
Probably Bill Beckwith. Coach Beckwith was not initially my coach. He was a line coach, but I played for him on the junior varsity. I played freshman, junior varsity, and varsity 1 year, and he was the junior varsity coach my freshman year, and I can still remember him. I would do anything for that coach because I believed in him, because he believed in me. And if that's the only coach I could choose, it would be him. My second would be probably George Berriolis, and Coach did everything for me. He believed in me. He was my track coach, and he was also our backs coach.
Well, you're talking about Coach Beckwith, and I never had the pleasure of having him as a coach. He was on the varsity when I was a freshman, and then he left and went to TF South. But I do remember going specifically to one of your, I think it was a JV game, so you had to be a freshman or a sophomore, and it was over at East Chicago Roosevelt's field, and you came off the field, and he said something about what happened there, and you said, well, so-and-so got in my way, and he looked right at you and he said, well, then get him out of your way.
Yeah, he meant it. He's the only guy I know that could, I'd be walking down the hall with some girl carrying her books, and he'd say, front roll, and I'd have to drop the books and do a front roll in the hallway and get up, and the girl would always go, why do you listen to him? He's the coach. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, Steve, next one's for you. Clark football.
Success. No one expected it. When you took over Clark football, the football schedule was what you'd consider light. They tended prior years to schedule teams that they thought they could beat instead of teams to challenge their players. In fact, one of the first year we played a team that only had, I want to say, 15 players, and they shared helmets and mouthpieces, which we were shocked at. If we would have known, we would have given them some equipment, even though we didn't have a lot. But just success and the kids, still having those kids talk to you, and you inspire them, and they still call you coach.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. All right, Dale, Clark High School.
Opportunity. I went through a difficult divorce and came back to live at home, and in fact lived in your basement with Mom until I got on my feet and didn't have a car and walk everywhere, and he told me, well, why don't you substitute? And I started substituting and volunteering to coach down there, add anything I could to the coaching, especially the training room, which Fred knew nothing about. And so it was an opportunity to reestablish, and I think the greatest thing about it too is that no one ever looked down their nose. You had such a great reputation that it was easy for me to walk in there and be respected without them even knowing who I was. But it was then an opportunity, because that led to when you retired from football, I was just going to not do anything either, and for one of your coaches to have enough respect for you to ask me if I would want to coach with him, which was astonishing. It's at East Chicago Central at that time, and go on to get into a teaching profession also. That's opportunity.
Well, don't sell yourself short, because
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, most of those guys that were calling for you were also calling for you because they had found out just exactly what you had done to keep kids on our field.
Yeah.
I can't remember how many phone calls we got from opposing coaches and asking me, hey, do you think Dale could come over and take a look at one of our players? We'd like to get an opinion of his before we have to send him off to a doctor that's going to get him out of there. And then I specifically remember you and I going over to TF North with Artie Rogers and Timmy Cesada, who actually was a coach that I don't know at the beginning if we really got along with them or not. You know, there was such competition there with Timmy that we probably disliked him a lot.
Timmy's the one that one of their athletes got hurt, and I ran out to take care of him and said, Coach, I think he's got a broken ankle. And he goes, yeah, you hope he's got a broken ankle. Get out of my face, you know.
But they invited us over for you to look at one of their players and for me to help install the veer.
Yeah.
They wanted to run the option, and so we went out and they had a very talented quarterback and actually got that in, and they made the playoffs that year, I think, because of that. So it was that type of thing, the knowledge that you had, and I can't say enough. We'd have a kid get hurt, and as coaches, we're sitting there going, well, it looks like we're going to have to find somebody else. They're not going to be able to play. All of a sudden, the next day, they're coming out with some contraption on their ankle, their elbow, their knee, whatever it was, made up of old thigh boards and shoulder pad harnesses and things. And all of a sudden, the kid says, yeah, I can play, Coach. I'm good. Oh, my gosh. Okay. All right, you get out there. You're good to go. There's no doubt. So, don't ever sell yourself short. We sure didn't. There's no doubt about that. All right, Steve, Morton 91.
Proudest moment. The worst weather, raining, sloppy, beating them 20-0. When they're ranked 5th in the state, and we were probably ranked 400th. It wasn't even on the map. After that year, we got ranked a lot.
We got ranked a lot?
We got ranked a lot after that year because no one was looking at us, being up there by the lake. And just a great game. A great game. And my brother Gary became a meteorologist. And with the lightning, told the officials that was heat lightning, and we got to keep playing the game.
So, we were the only teams that finished the game that day. Everybody else got
sent. And nobody got hurt?
No one got hurt. I looked behind us, and again, we had our fans stayed with us, and they were on metal bleachers like we're sitting on right now. Yeah. And it is raining, and it is thundering.
That's because Gary declared it okay.
Well, this is how our coaching staff went, though, is because Fred Behrens, who he was a police officer with Steve, he saw me talking to the officials, and he overheard me say they were going to cancel the game. And I thought, we do not want to give these guys 12 hours of chance to figure out what we're doing. Right. So there's no way in the world that I want to go home. So Fred comes running over from the squad car, and he goes, Gary, I just had the squad car call Peoria to the weather station in Peoria, and they said that it's going to be clearing in the next 15 minutes. Don't worry about it. They even said something about it's heat lightning. It's not really lightning. So the officials said, okay, and we played, and we won. Yeah, that was so much fun. It was just a total team effort, and
we had a few interceptions that game.
Yes, we did. Well, we had
interception for a touchdown.
That's how the final score was. Jamie Kieran made an interception and went for a touchdown. But we had Wojo, Danny Wojciechowicz was playing defensive end, and we had him in what we call a gap charge, and we'll talk about that at some other point. But you have to actually try to dive between guys' legs, and he did, and it was so muddy. He came off, and he tells me, Coach, I thought I was going to drown.
It was wet.
It was pretty cool. All right, let's go on here. Dale, for you, coaching females versus males.
No difference. Maybe body structure. I coached girls softball and basketball. My girls will tell you, and I called them my girls, that I was the meanest coach in the world, but they were the best. We might not have been good, but we were conditioned. I had a conditioning program. I took a lot from Gary, and if his boys could do it, my girls could do it. And that's the way I felt. Now, we didn't lift weights like you did, but we did go through the plyometrics, and We were literally in softball, which Clark was good at one time, but then had really started to go downhill. And we took a program that was failing. And through conditioning, again, we talk a lot about that, but I had one young lady come out that she weighed about 260. And she said, "Coach, I really want to play." But she said, "I don't know how to play softball, but I want to play. I want to go through the conditioning." And it was like 8 weeks of conditioning before our first game. And she dropped 110 pounds in that period of time. And I saw her as a waitress one day, and she said, "Coach, I've kept it off." And then I got a letter from a young lady who went to the Marines. And she said, "Coach, I laugh at these girls. They come in and they're crying and they're moaning. They say, 'Nikki, how come you're not crying?'" He said, "You've never met Coach Dale." And you know, that's a compliment in a way, because I didn't want them to think that they were inferior. Title IX says they're equal. Well, we showed them equality. And our girls, we were not maybe the best at our positions, but we worked the hardest. And so I never saw anything different as far as that. I mean, there's no different in hustle, whether it's a boy or girl. A hustle is a hustle. There's preparation. There's no difference in those areas. So I think that girls need to be challenged, and I think we're seeing that more and more in the female sports of today. I don't want a girl going. I'm chauvinistic. I don't want a girl playing football. I'm sorry, because you're going to have some guy try to tee off and hurt that person. That's not. But as far as preparation for other sports, soccer and things, we see golf is a prime example. You know, will there be a female in baseball? I don't know. I don't know. We've heard a lot about that with the Little League World Series. But one thing is, I believe a girl has a right to compete. A girl has a right for preparation, as Steve said, and conditioning.
Yeah, I want to add one little thing to that. You know, I started coaching girls basketball right when Title IX came out. And I'm all for, you know, equal rights, but I also used to tell our girls that, you know, if you're going to have equal rights, then you're going to have to work equally as hard.
That's right.
There's no right that says you can come out on this basketball floor and take it away from the guys' team if we're not going to practice hard and work hard. You know, if we're just going to screw around. So it takes a little bit, you know, more to that, you know, than just being the equal. But I also, and this is kind of a sad story, but I worked at Green Valley High School in Henderson, which is right outside of Las Vegas, for 7 years, and the longtime cross-country coach and track coach passed away this past year, and they had a memorial for him. It was very, very nice. And we were there, and his assistant coach said that, you know, when he first started coaching the girls, what he had to learn was how to coach girls a little differently. And my wife looked at me and said, "You never had that class, did you?" And I said, "No, absolutely not, because I really don't feel that you do." I'm like Steve. If you want to be determined, you know, your preparation, you have to. Now, are the times going to be the same? Probably not, you know, but you adjust those kind of things. So yeah, I agree.
But they can improve other places.
Absolutely.
Somebody else, just like any other male going against another male, female. I mean, they might not be able to run as fast, but they may be smarter or have some ability like those small players we had.
I had four girls that were freshmen on my basketball team: Diana Wingus, Jackie Krieger, Sarah Vine, and Mary Jo Jacobowitz, which we call Mush. And I guarantee if anybody out there were to call them up and ask them if they were treated any differently, they would say no. As fast as they can, there's no doubt. All right.